hit that subscribe button. Let's get started.
Well, hello friends. Thought I'd do a little video here to show you guys a little bit about how I do my video and photo editing for my different photography stuff. So I'm going to bring up my Lightroom and I'll be showing you that. And I'll show you my process here. Let's see if I can remove that banner so you can see the very top up there. See if it'll let me remove that very beginning banner. Sorry for that. So I don't remember what it's under. Okay, I think it's part of my setup. So, oh, it should be in my logo. Yeah, let me remove that one. Take that off. Okay, now you can see my whole screen there. It's a learning process, folks. It's a learning process. All right, so if we go over here to my screen, I think you can see my cursor. I've checked that. So here's the first image I've loaded here. There's 669 that I got in this little batch right here. So what I normally do is I start with my images and just bring them into Lightroom. Now this one I've already actually edited just so I could verify that, you know, what I'm about to show you is visible and all that stuff on the screen. But you'll notice, let me pause for 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, you'll notice that down here is what is called the film strip. That's all your different images, and it'll move from over here. It'll move left as I scroll through the images. And you'll notice different ways I shoot my images as well as the way I edit my images. So you'll notice right here, currently, that is the way it would normally set. These over here are what's called presets. And presets are, if I just scroll over that preset, you'll notice it automatically just changes the image to whatever I've made that preset. And I've done that over the years as I've edited my photos. I've got different presets that I've built and made. And then if I move off of it to my image, you'll see that this is my actual image here. So I have tons of presets. Some I actually purchased for other stuff. And then all these right here expand out. And there's more presets in each one of those. So these are all my actual presets that I've built right here. And then you've got your, over here on your right side of Lightroom, you got your different edits for your light. So if you change the exposure, you can change how the image looks like that. So I think I have mine set on 0.02 for some reason. So then you've got contrast, and you change contrast. You can do different stuff with each thing you slide. You can see how it changes different stuff of the actual image. So I have actually, like I said, I went through all these things. You've got shadows, highlights, whites, blacks. You can change the temperature, the colors, and all this stuff, and you can change the colors. So if I want to take all the green out of my image, I go right there and select green, and then I just take the saturation down of that, and you'll notice the image loses all the majority of its greenness. So that's how you can do that stuff. Color grading, you can change the mids and highs of a color. Then you got different effects down through here. So different stuff, you do different, you change so much of an image, but you still have to take, you know, a pretty decent quality image, however you want people to see your image. So you do your focusing part on getting a good image to start with as a base, and then it makes it much easier to edit your image. Now, if you look at this image here, you can almost see that right here around the neck, I almost blew out the highlights of the actual image. So over here on my highlights, I can bring them down a little bit, but if I bring them back up to where normal was at, you see they're blown out. So I have to cut all the way down, maybe take out some of the whites here and see if we can save this image. And so that's probably the best we'll get it right there. So again, I have actually already edited this image in the sense of getting it to, so I could save the actual preset and all that stuff. So once you get it how you like it, you come down here in Lightroom and you make your adjustments and all that stuff. And this would normally say copy edit settings, and you click on that and it's copied exactly how the way you've changed your light and all that stuff into your image. So now you go to the next image. And so this is my next image in this sequence of just shooting, which you see this image right here. You see how far the actual bird is away from me, and you notice how close it is here. If I go to this tab over here, you'll see when I click on it, there's the actual image. You can see this is the full screen image, the actual shot that I took with all this in here. And then I cropped it down a little bit here so I could bring you some closer details and all that stuff. This is what I'm actually going to show you as my image now, what's inside the square here. So that is the actual image. So when I turn off that thing, now you see that's the image that I'm going to present to you, the viewer. So that's how that works. So this image, and as you click on it, you know, you can see different stuff. You can see, again, in my shots, I've always tried to bring you the details. I want you to see all these different feathers and all this different stuff. I want you to see how the actual feathers lie on the body and what makes up an actual individual bird, how their tail feathers look and all that stuff. As you can see, this one gets a little blurred down here on the bottom, and it's because it looks like the focus was right in this area here. But yeah, good quality glass helps you see things like this right here, the spider web. You wouldn't have seen that if you didn't use good quality glass. So this image here, see, there's highlights blown out right here on this chin. I don't know that we could, I'm gonna click paste and it'll paste my edit from that very first bird. It's gonna paste it on here. Let's see how it changes it. Actually, let me click off of it, show you the full image. Now I'm gonna hit paste and see what it does to change it. Okay, do you see that little bit of a change it did there? So now if I wanted to use this image, I would take and I go over to my crop section, go up here in the corner and I bring the box down and decide what style of box I want to crop with. So let's go with the bird. Let's get a little bit of the branch in there and get some of its surroundings. Let's go something like that. After I've done that, so now it's cropped, and this is what you're going to see. Let's go into, we've already pasted our stuff, so let's go into the actual light settings of the photo. Let's bring it down just a little bit in exposure. I like how you can see the yellow on the belly and then the brown on the head and all that stuff. That's the Eastern Phoebe. But we've got those highlights that are blown out. Let's see if we can bring those down the most we can, maybe add a little blackness to it. Try to tone it down. See if we can go with a little bit of contrast here. We're not going to be able to save those highlights, but we can take the shadows and bring those up. We can get rid of some of those shadows on the face right there. Leave us with something like that. So then when I'm done, I'll go down here and I'll hit the stars. And this is just so I can go back and pull all these images that I've edited that I've liked. I'll give it 5 stars and I'll check it, meaning this is a photo that I'm going to use. So I'll move on to the next one. This one, same thing. You can see the highlights. So we know we're not going to go through any of those. Now here, I took and changed the exposure on my actual image when I was shooting. Same thing with some of these. You can see these images, I reduced the exposure just so I could try to show you guys how sometimes even whenever you do shoot your exposure too low or whatever, there's some parts of it you can save. Let's crop it in here a little bit and get rid of some of the extra. Let's go with sort of the same style of box here around it. We know about the size of the bird and all that stuff. So we'll get some of that branch in there, make sure we get some of that. And the limbs come down here, just putting the bird in its own environment. So we'll crop that. Now let me see if I can paste my edit here and see what it does for it. Okay, it made it darker, so that edit's not going to work there, but let's go up here and just leave that edit in place. Let's change the exposure, bring it up. Oh, okay, so we can save it a little bit. So you see how that'll save it a little bit. Let's bring those whites down, try to save the neck area a little bit, change the highlights down. Let's go up just a little bit more. We might be able to do something with this image. Just turn those blacks off just a little bit, see if we can bring up some more of the eye here. Let's go down here and bring the dehaze back up. While it's not perfect shot, let's take the sharpening down to mid 50s here somewhere. I have the hardest time. I cannot stand it when I'm at 54 or 56. I want to be at 55, and sometimes it's hard to chase that down. So still a little dark around the eye and stuff like that, but you can still see a lot of the elements of the bird, the actual makeup of the bird, the colors of the bird. I like vivid and bright colors, so we'll go ahead and check this one. We'll go ahead and use it, even though it may not be the best shot, but it's still worth looking at. It's going to be the same thing with this one. Let's edit it and see, though. And the reason I'm saying this is because, and I wanted to show you guys that sometimes if you go out and you do some photography and all that stuff and you don't get your exposure correctly, you can still save the image. You just have to figure out what you're going to do to save it. Let's see if I hover over that one. That one's called a true color preset. A lot of true color in it, but you notice the neck there is blown out. The highlights are really gone on it. So let me go with it's clean and natural. Let's change it to this clean and natural, and let's bring that exposure up a little bit more on it. See if we can still use the image. Bring down those whites just a little bit. Let's turn those shadows up just a little bit. Take some off that eye area. Bring in some more color around that eye. And just so y'all know, hey, as you get older, you get these new kind of glasses, you have to use the bottom parts, your progressive parts, so you can see the details. I can see just fine right there, but I have to see the details when I raise up my eyes and use the bottom part. So as you get older, you just know that you're going to have use some of these fine glasses too, even though I got scratches on mine. So that's why you see me looking up like I'm looking at the sky when I'm actually looking at my screen here in front of me. So let's go with a little bit like that. See, we bring some whites back into it, how much it changes too much. Let's bring it down, back down a little bit right there, just to the point where we save those highlights, even though we have some loss down here in the eye area. You can still use it. So let's select that one. Just put it in our save field, just so I can show you for the purpose here. All right, let's skip over a few of these right here that I kept in the dark, just so that y'all can see them. Okay, so now I'm back to, matter of fact, let me show you guys. So let's go back to a few darker area. So down here in the bottom, can you see this? Yeah, y'all can see that. Okay, so up here, it was shot with a Canon EOS R5 with a 500 millimeter f4 lens. And it was shot at 500 millimeters. Because it's 500, you can't change it on this one. It's an f4, so that means it's fixed. And it's a f4 lens. It's fixed at 500. Shutter speeds of 1/320th of a second on f8. And ISO 100. That's why it's dark. Even shooting it at f8, I could have dropped it down to like a f5.6 or f5, or all the way down to f4. So that's what that exposure is on that image. So now let me go back in here and change. There was an image I saved from before. Let's go over here to these images here and see what I shot these at. So this was shot at same camera, same lens, 500 millimeters at 1/1250th of a second at f6.3, and the ISO is down. It's up at 800 because it was at 100 on the last set. So the ISO came up to help bring some light back in there, even though I brought it down from an f8 to an f6, which made it open more, let more light in. It actually had to add light to be able to get this image so that you can actually see it. So again, I've told many people who shoot and all that stuff, in order to get the right shot of an image, there's 3 parts that have to be correct. And it's called the exposure triangle. There is the there's ISO, which is, think of it as a way, and I know this is not the correct way of saying it, but think of it as false light you're putting into your image to help make the exposure. And you've got hold on a second, I'm drawing a blank. You've got ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. So you can change an image by adjusting those 3 things. You can slow your shutter speed down so that it gives it more light coming in there. It holds it open longer. But if you want to stop your action and all that stuff, you have to have a faster shutter speed. So if you go up in shutter speed, you may have to go down in your f-stop, meaning the amount of light that you're letting in, or you have to add more ISO to be able to get the exposure correctly. So all 3 of those things combined is what makes up an actual image that you get in these digital cameras. So there's a balance between all 3 of those. And so if you use your histogram on your camera, when those 3 things align and are correct and in the right setting to make a good image, then you should be right on 0 of your balance between left and right. So learn how to use your histogram, a live histogram on your camera to be able to get your exposure correctly. So let's go with, let me add my, okay, so you see how that changed it based on the preset that I have saved, the edit settings that I just applied to it. So let's get in here and do our crop. So we see that this bird is looking off to the right there. Do we want to crop in tight? Let's see what it looks like if we crop in tight. Let's go with it there. Okay, that's got some environment with it. It's got some trees, some branches, and again, you just want to put it into its environment. A lot of people don't like to crop in so close on the bird. They want to show you like the whole tree that the bird's sitting in. And for me, that's just not what people want to see. I understand adding them into their element. Now I can go back in here and I can bring some more tree into it. Give a little bit more space on the tail, because a lot of people, if they get canvas done, like the first inch, always square around it, fold around your edge. And then that's part of your image. So you want to make sure you give enough space. You don't want to be cropped in like this on your bird, per se, trying to fit your bird in there. I mean, when you click off of it, yeah, you can see everything about the bird. The bird's in there, but you know, you sort of lose the environment that it is. So let's back out a little bit, give it some environment so that the viewer can sort of feel the environment that the bird is in. Something like that. So let's go in here and change a few things. Bring those highlights down a little bit more because we don't want to blow out that neck area, that white. And it's hard to shoot them because of that neck area. Let's go a little bit of contrast here just to help out the areas up there around the eye. I really like the eye. Let's click on the eye. See all the details? You can see the actual color of the iris, pupil, or the pupil is right there in the middle of the black part. But the iris around here, you can actually see the color of the bird. Now you notice there's still highlights that are sort of blown out, and there ain't too much we could do without bringing down the exposure to try to cover those up. But then you see how we darken the whole image. Now, advanced techniques, and I just don't do any of that stuff. I just, there's guys who mask an area and only bring down the colors in this general area right here. Yeah, you can do all that stuff, but I mean, if I was really getting paid to be a photographer or something like that, I might consider it. But I'm just a hobbyist, and right now this takes up enough time just doing all my different edit stuff as it is. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. I adjust the overall image, and I don't worry about all those other things. And a lot of guys who do it, they have great images, and they spend a lot of time on their images, and it shows. But again, it's still a fun thing. I want to keep it a fun thing. It's not a job and all that stuff for me. So I don't do all that stuff. So that's the way I'll edit that image right there. So somebody who might follow me on X, they'll probably see that in the subscription tab. So here's another good shot of it. See the details? I like showing you these details. All those little bitty feathers right in there. That's a good shot right there because you can see all the little details of the feathers, tail feathers, even the single little feather fiber coming off that feather right there. So we'll use this image right here. Let's crop it down. I won't go in as tight, but I won't keep the whole image this time. Let's go something like that. Let's give it a little bit more room on the front because that's the way he's looking, or she, or whichever kind of bird it is. And let's bring it down to the bottom. Let's make it so that they're looking sort of up and across the image there. So we'll edit that. I'll add my already determined. Oh, I think I actually, oh no, I may have missed it visually. Let's take and turn it down just a little bit. Add some contrast to it. Let's go to 10. Turn down a little bit of those highlights there. Turn down a little bit more of those whites. And now I'll bring the exposure up just to, actually, let me bring a little bit of the blacks off so we can see a little bit more. Let's go to 25 in there. You can always dehaze it a little bit and take down some of that stuff. Let me take it to 5 on the dehaze. And then once I find the 5 there with my glasses, then now I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit back up here in the front. So let's go right there. Somewhere right in there. What do y'all think of that? You can see the branch good. You can see this, still see the feathers of the bird. And it's one of those things where, like I always tell people, whenever you look at my images, make sure you always click on them because you'll be able to see more details than what just seeing it in this view does. So let's set the rating at 5 and we'll flag as picked. And that's what the two things are I'm doing down there. Because when I come back and do it, I'm going to change it so I only see the photos that I flagged as a 5 and that as I picked. And those will be left the only things on my timeline. Then I can select them all, export them all at one time with my watermark, and then do my export at one time with the watermark across the whole image so that I can show to people who doesn't subscribe to my page yet. So that's how I do it. I just go through and pick them. So you'll see that I shoot a lot of times. I shoot the same. I may let the camera run for a few shots and all that stuff. As in, I'll get some burst because for me, that's how you capture the images like this right here. Whenever you really want to see, like when a bird chirps or something like that, I'm only zooming in just so you can see this right here. It's because you didn't just wait for your camera to see that one part of the image. You were sort of firing it to see all the parts of an image. all the events happening. So I may do a 5-shot burst. I may do a 10-shot burst. If I've got some good activity when I see the bird sitting there preening its feathered, something like that, I may hold it down for 30 seconds and just get a whole stream of shots that, I mean, my camera shoots pretty fast. So um, I may do that. Let's see what that paste does. There you go. It brought out some. So since we just edited that one, we just cropped it down. I'm going to leave that one in that shape there. A little tight there. Go a little contrast. Bring a little bit of exposure back up. Let's turn the highlights down and the whites down. Take a little bit of the black off. And since I did that, let's go back to 35 here. 35, 35. Come on now, 35. Y'all didn't know I was an auctioneer, did you? I'm not really. So now what I'm gonna do is, instead of doing that again, so I have to keep doing it every time, since I'm sort of staying close in the same range. You notice down here, I'm gonna hit the X, which means I'm gonna clear my clipboard, meaning I'm gonna clear my edit. And now I can recopy the setting stuff I put on here. So I just click the copy. Now it says paste down there. So when I click on the bird, the next one, all I do is hit paste, and all those changes I've been having to make over here will already be ready for the next one. So go ahead and select this one and flag it. So it's going down through here. Okay, so well, go ahead and skip past some of these. Let's go with something like that. I like how its eyes is in the image there, and you can actually see it. So let's crop it down to a general area of way we want to be. And you can change these boxes. You can change them wide. You can make them tall, make them, do all kind of stuff. You change the box how you want to. I just sort of go for a general. I think of it as if I'm printing this out for a customer, in the sense that somebody has decided they want to print this image out, what it would look like on a piece of canvas or something like that. So that's what my general idea is whenever I do my cropping and all that stuff. Okay, so we've selected, we've cut it down, we've cropped it down to the size we want. The general idea. I like how there's a little spider web going through there. Let's see if we can see that. Now we're gonna get in here, we're gonna hit paste the edit settings, and bam, that quick. It's edited because I've already edited other images, and it makes it a lot faster. So let's see if we can do it without blowing out those highlights. See if we'd have to go way down to not blow out the highlights around the neck, just because the way the bird was and the time of day I shot this. So I'm going to put it right in there, and just a minus, something like that. I'll take the shadows out totally. Bring some black into it. It's not gonna, it just darkens the whole overall picture. Let's go with something like that. What do y'all think of that one? See the details? I like showing you the details. See the little spider web floating through there amongst the branches. Now let's see what the sharpening, let's turn the sharpening down to about 55-ish. Let's go super resolution. Let's see what that does for us. There's also the option to denoise, and applying super resolution. I don't remember what this does, but let's see if it makes it super sharp. 1 second while that loads. Okay, I don't know that we're still recording or not. My computer is overtaxed on processing right now. It's not showing my mouse moving there, and the recording over here is stopped. So I'm not sure I'm still recording. Let's see if we are. It doesn't give me an option to pause my recording. So, okay, we're still going. Um, Looks like my camera froze up. You're not seeing me no more. What's the deal here? Okay, well, I'm gonna keep the recording going. You don't have to see me, but it shows the camera's on, but it's not showing me live over there in the deal. And you can see my cursor, so I know we're still good. So anyway, that's the edit for that one. Let's see if it. Let me take out some of that grain up there. I'm not liking that grain too much. I don't know. Let's take out some clarity here. That's maybe what the deal is here. There we go. Maybe a little bit better. Still, it's just a little bit overblown there, but you can't expect to get everything, I guess. Let's save that one. I'm going to copy those new settings, see if we apply them to the next one. Okay, so see how you see how that shot right there? If I hadn't had the camera rolling, you wouldn't see these little bitty movements of the tail. Sometimes it's a tail movement, a head movement, or something like that that really make up the difference in your shot. So let's apply our preset to it. And I think adding the super resolution is what's yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. AI settings may take some time. So I think the AI is super resolution, just filling in and making things a little different. So I'm going to turn that off because that's really bugging my computer down also. It's still not showing my camera, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, so now that that has finished, I'm going to turn that super resolution off because it really stresses my computer out, only because I'm streaming and I've got 3 or 4 instances of YouTube actually open behind the scenes. So let me turn that super resolution off. I don't want that. And then I'm going to take and add, I'm going to clear my clipboard. I'm going to copy my clipboard again now that I've turned it off. And we'll go with that. So let's go with a little bit of a crop here. Again, you have to get the shot that you can get of a bird, and then you can always crop into it a little bit. So you can actually crop in a lot, but see how much of that is of the environment in our actual image. Yeah, I can live with that. So let's see if we can turn down anything to take those whites down just a little bit. Let's go with that. You can still see the the colors of the bird, the stomach area, the wings, and all that good stuff. So I'm okay with that right there. And again, it's all in how you want to edit your images. What it's all about. It's your image. I made the mistake of asking people one time about their ideas on edits, and man, I got so many different back when I was just doing Facebook. I had so many people telling me, "Oh, if you're not loading it straight from the camera and showing people what you took, then you're not that good of a photographer." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Look, this ain't film anymore. You can edit everything that you do." Let's try that image, see what it looks like. Let's turn it down just a little bit. There we go. Now we can save a little bit of it right in there just by turning down the exposure. We've got the highlights and the whites turned all the way down. Let's see what our crop can be here. So let's turn down an image as this. Get some trees behind it and in front of it. And there we go. That's simple. You still see a good portion of the eye, the details. And now one thing I will note is, different lenses have better sharpness than others. And there's just some things that just irk me whenever I'm looking at an image and the camera just didn't do any justice. And that's all in the photographers taking the image. I'm just saying, if you put too much exposure into it and all that stuff, then you may get some grain in your images, but a lot of it can be taken out with working on it here on the computer. So just keep that in mind. Just get the best shot you can. And again, I highly recommend if you shoot your images and you only look at them from the way you shot them. Yeah, unfortunately, that's too blown out there in that chest area. I don't like that. So, I mean, for most people, yeah, that'd be a good enough image, but there's a lot of blown highlights there just because of the way I shot that one. So I'll go ahead and skip it because I've got plenty of these. The biggest thing is I just want to show you guys what it's like for me, and you can see my film roll here down at the bottom of how many shots I take when I'm just out shooting a batch of photos. So let's go with something like this. I was going to do this live, but it's just as easy to do it when I'm just sitting here by myself, not trying to look over at comments and all that stuff. I mean, my YouTube channel is slowly growing, so it's not like I have lots of people in it at one time. And I do appreciate every single one of you that comes in and hangs out with me and comments live and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes it is just as easy just to sit here and do it. And again, this is the first time I've ever done it as a recording that I'm going to post as a YouTube video to my channel and to my X. So there we go. That's simple. We like that. Yeah. So if you see, I just roll over some of my other presets, you can see how different stuff that I've edited, how it just changes. It brings out different colors or takes away colors and does different things. So I've got this preset up here that I call some of my artsy edits, and it just changes stuff to the point where you put in, so like this right here, this is called Best Art 2, it looks like. And it makes it sort of like a painting, but at the same time, it's an image. The bad thing about shooting, you can tell that I was shooting around 12 o'clock noon because the shadow is directly below its beak there. So matter of fact, let's see what time. Did it show what time we were taking this image? May 1st, 1:03. So yeah, 1:03 p.m. And you can tell because the shadow is directly above its beak, shooting straight down across its body there. So people who looked at images enough, they can tell if you've got shadows in there, they can tell you based on the shadow, and knowing the location helps also. But you know, anybody that's in North America um, is going to have the same sun effect on their images. So, but anyway, that's one way to a different edit preset that I use in it. I use it what I call art. You know, sometimes people like that style. Yeah, it's still the true image, but at the same time, it's a little bit different than what somebody else might edit it. So let me put my actual edit back to it, and there you go. We'll pick that one and we'll select it, later use. So see how this one now, it's on the back side of its head, and all the sun's here on its chest. That's going to be burnout with highlights, so I won't use that one. Just going to scroll through here real quick and get to some other images, because I sometimes, like I said, I'll set and I'll take images of every sort of like little interaction. But that's how you get to see what this bird is actually doing. So what he's doing, he's looking around in his tree looking for a grub. There we go. Let's use that one. It looks like the sun hit just enough shade and shadows across there that we didn't lose any highlights on them. So let's change this. Let's go with this one right here. Apply our preset. And there you go. Now we've got some good color to it. Let's see if we, I don't want to go too much. Let's come down just a little bit more. I really like to try to get the eye in there so you can see the eye. We'll go with that. So I'll put a selection on it and flag it. So let me skip through a bunch of these. Okay, I'm coming up on some videos here. And I'll let you watch this video. I'm gonna paste my edit to it. Some of the stuff in video you can't use from photo edits, but let me change the exposure down just a little bit here. See what we can see here. Let me play this for you. So yeah, I forgot to tell you the story about this. So I come out my front porch, and um, all of a sudden these two little birds just shot out of that nest, like shot out of a rocket. They bounced off the roof like the first time they'd ever learned how to fly, and they landed uh, out in the trees and all that stuff. And that I know of, they had never flown before. But, you know, I guess me coming out my front door scared the little birds pretty bad, and they took off flying. So I don't know where they went. So there's a couple other little videos there I did of those. Let me see. I'll play this one for you real quick. So one thing, the reason I don't do a lot of videos, I do shoot videos occasionally, but you notice that sometimes the focus will get lost and it'll go to something else behind it. So I don't do a lot of video stuff. I'm not shooting just because. Okay, so these I know I shot today. Oh, that was something special. We're not there yet. The starting right here is some images I shot today, and um, I will probably let's see. We're 46 minutes in. I'll show you some of these, so you all know who this is, right? It's our little Anna. I'm sorry, it's our little ruby-throated hummingbird. And what's different is I notice up here he's got these colors around his neck area. So let's apply our paste to this, our edit setting, see what it does. See if you see any more of the details of him. But you see, that's the shot I actually took. And then when you crop in, you can see stuff like that. I'll probably go through here and edit some of these off camera for you. But I just wanted to show you some of these the little details of this little feller. Let's try another edit here so we can see what kind of details y'all can see. Let me go with my clean and natural. There's all kind of different stuff you can just, like I said, I've built these over the years as I've shot different stuff. So that one seems to be all right. You can see the colors of his neck and stuff. So a lot of these, like I said, I'll go through and do some more edits and all that stuff and crop them down. But I just wanted you to see the little hummingbird while I'm making this YouTube video. It's good to see my little hummingbirds are back. Let me tell you, this guy is so tiny. And I know that there was another little hummingbird made its presence because he at one point goes after I just put out a fresh new batch of juice for him. If you need to know how to make your own hummingbird juice, 4 cups of water, bring it to a boil, let it boil for 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure you get all the impurities out. Turn it off, and then add 1 cup of sugar, cane sugar, and just mix that in. Don't put it back on the stove. Don't cook it because you'll cook out the goodness out of the sugar, and just let it cool to room temperature. And then I'll take and pour mine into a jug and put it in the refrigerator. So that's how you make hummingbird nectar instead of buying it. Just water out of the taps. What I use. A lot of people say use distilled water. You can, but I always use tap water. Bring it to boil. Let it boil for 2 to 3 minutes, and then turn it off and pour the sugar in and give it a good stir. So it's good and dissolved, and then I'll put it in a container. So again, this is a male just because I know the females, the gorget comes all the way up through here and it's white in color on the females, whereas the males have a dark color and theirs actually changes color. So but yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen it with a little red that stays, even though this turns black. I may have a different kind of hummingbird than what I thought it was. I might have to do a little research on him because I thought that in years past that that color has always went away. I can almost see a little bit of purple there. He could be a I forget the name of him now. Hummingbird. Instead of a ruby-throated, he could be another kind of hummingbird. Say, if you remember, drop me a comment because I'll look it up when I'm done with this video. So he definitely has some purples in there and some oranges. So I may have a different kind of hummingbird this year. Instead of just a ruby-throated, I actually got a bird book in there. He's definitely got a lot of colors in him. See, there's the ruby, even though it's a blurry shot. So I still wanted y'all to be able to see him. See all those little details of his feathers there. That's what makes doing bird photography. One of my friends asked me the other day if I shoot anything other than birds. I do, if they sort of come to me. With my leg issues that I have going on, I can't just go traipse into the woods like I was able to, carrying my camera and all that stuff. And with my back issues, that camera's pretty heavy, so I just can't go traipsing like I used to into some of the places in the state park and all that stuff. So I sort of have to rely on what comes to me for right now. But I still wanted to get some shots of this little feller and show you guys. So I'm gonna keep scrolling through here a little bit faster, and I've got some videos I know I shot here at the end. There you go. You see how his color changes from that ruby to that fire orange and all that stuff. He's got that little white mark around his eye. So I'm gonna have to research that and verify that's still a ruby-throated hummingbird. He said he flew off, and then you give it about 20 minutes and he'll be back, and he'll usually come set in the same general area of the trees. So yeah, I'll take and cut those and clip those and turn those into some shots for you guys. So he's just doing different stuff here. He just got him some nectar because his little tongue's sticking out there, but his tongue will come all the way out to like here. So if you haven't seen some of my shots of a hummingbird's tongue, let's see. I know there's one shot because I remember seeing it as I took it. There's at least one shot when his tongue comes all the way out here. Let's see if I can find that for you real quick. But they're just so fun to try to capture. You really gotta, if they're sitting still here and you're just taking images of them just sitting here, you can get away with shooting at about a 1/320 shutter speed. But if you're trying to capture them in flight and all that stuff, you got to be up around 2,000, 2,500 to get a decent shot. You can get shots lower, but you really want to have a fast shutter speed if you want to stop that wing action because they're just so fast. You see those were a little bit darker in there. This right here, I think, should be a good little shot. But usually whenever the hummingbirds come around and I get a chance to shoot photos of them, I'll shoot a bunch of photos because they move so quick and they're so fast. But just like here, you can see that this little guy, once they plant a tree, as long as you don't make any sudden movements, you can move around and slowly, work around your camera and all that stuff without scaring them off. But they will stay there and give you ample amount of time to get some shots, which is another thing about shooting birds, I'll tell you. Is whenever you go out to shoot birds, if you have a general area like, close to a feeder or something like that, that you know the birds are going to come to, you want to pattern the birds and see what branch they're flying to. If you sit there and watch for 5 minutes, you'll notice they always fly to a certain branch before they ever drop down and jump on a feeder type thing. So learn to pattern your birds and understand where they're going to fly to and set your camera in that general area, and it'll help you get your shots. I mean, just like as this guy, he's sitting in his tree. I know as long as I don't spook him off, he's going to sit there for a minute. He's watching. The feeder is, about 10 foot away from me. So he's going to be watching that feeder to defend it. So he's just hanging out in that same general area. So yeah, I'm really going to have to do some research on this hummingbird to verify that it's a ruby throated, because I'm really beginning to wonder. I don't know if I've ever seen this one around my feeder, and he's a lot smaller than usual, the ones that usually show up at my house. So he could be a new one, the first year or something. So, but usually, I mean, if they'll come back yearly to the same feeders. So there, he took off there, and then he'll come back and he'll find him a new spot to set. But some of these should turn out to be some really good images for you guys, especially you subscribers. You guys will be seeing all of these whenever I turn them into photos. So, and sometimes, like I said, you sit here, you'll be taking a photo and they'll scratch their head and you'll get a shot like that. So just all kind of neat little stuff, which is again why you'll learn that it's a digital camera. Let it rip, Tater Chip. Just get all the shots you can, of a general. Once you've gotten so many of the same shots like this, then okay, wait until a new pose happens. But, that's going to be a neat shot for you guys right there. Look at that. Sometimes you'll catch them when they pee. Sometimes you'll catch them when their wings are flapping and all that stuff. So it's just a matter of, you just got to be able to get your shots. So like I said, as you can see, we're only halfway through. See where my little tab is here? So I'm going to zip through these, get out here at the end. Y'all can see the kind of shots. I mean, I will set and I will take shots of a hummingbird. I just put him back on the tree and went backwards a little bit there. So let's go forward there. I know, I've got a couple more hours worth of just sitting here going through these images and thoroughly looking at each one and figuring out which ones I want to use. But I wanted to make a video and show you guys what it's like whenever I go out and shoot. You can see based on the images that I've shot here, what I try to go for. And so again, I will take a bunch of images just to try to, get that right one. So we're getting some good details in there. This is about 20 or 30 feet away from me. So you got to have a good zoom lens. And then you want them to try to get into the right light in order to get some good shots. And you don't get to decide that. It's wherever they go, you've got to adjust to their movements and all that stuff. That's why bird photography is a little bit different, because you shoot what they give you. So I told you that I saw a tongue image, and I'm trying to find it because I told you that there's one in here, and I know there is because I looked at it on my camera. So that'd be a good little detail shot there. As long as I haven't already passed it. I may have passed it. I don't think we did, but I may have. Sometimes the computer don't show everything that every screen you're on. Sometimes it may miss. So, oh, told you. There you go. There's one of them peeing. So that's what little hummingbirds do. They pee a lot. They'll usually pee right before, and that's usually a sign. They'll usually pee right before they take off, just for the record. And that's with all birds. Birds will usually, which birds pee and poop at the same time. For those that don't know, it's usually a sign they're getting ready to fly away. But for these little hummingbirds, it's also a sign that their tanks are full. So here I remember him doing this little shiver. He started like shivering his feathers out and all that stuff. So again, he flew away and came back. And this time he was a little bit closer. So I got some little bit closer shots of him. So I'll give you some good details there. Again, these will all be found in my, there you go. I told you the tongue was in there somewhere. So you might see that one again if you're a subscriber. So again, these, I'll probably sit here for another 2 hours after I turn this recording off, and be editing some of these photos and have them ready for my subscribers. It's a video, so it's trying to go in there and start playing it. That's why I told you it's gonna crash. So that crashed out. I was going to show you some videos of him just sitting there playing. Let me see if I can get it to open back up here real quick while the video is still going. We just passed the 1 hour mark, so it might let me open it back up and get back in there. Let's see if my camera is back yet. Nope, you still can't see me. That's weird. I don't know. Okay, so let me play some of this right here is a 2 minute and 39-second video here. I'm going to add this one in here for y'all to see on my video. And some of these are, I was trying to get it locked down and trying to figure out the focus and all that stuff. So just bear with it. Did y'all see him pee again? I'm telling you, they pee every couple minutes. What he's doing, he's looking around to make sure none of the hummingbirds could come try to get some of his nectar out of his feeder that he's guarding. So he's looking for other hummingbirds. And if he sees one, he will attack them. But this is why it's so hard to photograph them sometimes, is because you see how the movements are. They constantly are moving. That's why if I wasn't in video mode right here, I'd be in photo mode and I'd just be shooting away, because just like as you watch the video, you see most time his neck is black. Sometimes he'll change that orange and you want to get those iridium shots. So you just never know when he's gonna turn that color on. So you gotta be ready. But I wanted y'all to see this in a video, so he was nice enough to sit there and let me video him this whole time. Okay, so he flew away on that shot and he comes back. And gives us some more video opportunities here. Now I can sit there and watch out my window all day and go, okay, I think I'll go out and shoot now. And as soon as I go out and shoot, the wind will pick up and everything will start happening. So that's why you're seeing these different variables here. And that's why it's sometimes hard for the camera to stay focused on them, because those trees start shaking and the focus will change to like the leaves or something like that. So see how it is doing it right there? So now it's picking up the leaves. It's not focusing on him. So I'm trying to fight to get the focus back on the bird, but it's not happening. So, well, right there, you hear me vaping. So obviously I wasn't doing too much there, but so he came back and he was a little bit closer this time. Or actually, I may have changed lenses, switched to my 800 millimeter lens, I think. No, these are all shot on my other one. And so that was example of a bear. You barely, I believe, in this instance right here, one of my cats came outside and was rubbing up against my tripod, which is a good sized tripod, but the slightest movement, just like from that cat rubbing his up against that leg of that tripod, can move the image there. So this is the last 1 minute clip I did of the hummingbird before I came inside and started downloading my photos and doing all that good stuff so I can make this video for you guys. So here's the last 1 minute on the hummingbird that I shot. And here's the Carolina chickadees. That's a Carolina chickadee there. Just made that noise. So you see, every little bit of movement causes that focus to go out. So that's when I decided to stop the videoing and all that stuff and come inside. So, but basically, okay. So now what I do is I go up here and for right now, I'll just show you guys based on this right here. So I want to change my uh, my selection to the ones I flagged right here. And the ones I selected over here, I flagged and gave it a 5-star rating. So you'll see based on that, now all those images are right here for me. So all I got to do is go back. I think this was actually from another shoot, but not this same one. But all these are going to be coming up to my subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber yet, it's right up there. You can subscribe on my profile right there across that banner streaming across the top of the screen right now. You can become a subscriber on X as well. You can go to my profile at Hotwire405 and click on subscribe, and then you'll be able to see all these images, and you have free use of them. You can download them, have them printed out. So basically, whenever I get them selected like this, then I go up here and I can select all the ones I want to select, which I know is, I'm just going to select from there over. Oops, from there over. Now I can export these right here, export these 14 images I just edited for you guys. I'll hit my export. I want to include my watermark, so I got my watermark here, and then I'll export those to their location. And it's new edits for X subscribers because it's got just my small watermarks. So I'll put them all in there, and then what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll tell it to do it again. This time I'll export them with my watermark, and I'm going to change my watermark here as soon as you see it pop up on this. It takes a second because it's processing so much at one time. I'm going to change my watermark to a bigger size. Like I said, it normally would show up here on the screen so I could see. And I'll change my opacity. There we go. So now I'll bring it back vertical so that it's sort of right across the whole screen image. Slide it over just a little bit the other way. And now the watermark is there so that people can still see the image, but at the same time, if they're going to steal my image, then they're going to have to work to remove that. So I'll put that as done. And then I'm going to export those, but this time I'm going to export them to the general public folder. I'll select a folder, and now I just batch exported those 14 images to that folder. So now I can go through and send all my photos over there and get them made for my subscribers. $2 a month. It helps me, put the gas in the truck for when I do go to places and shoot photos for people. So these are all done for everybody's enjoyment. Again, biggest thing is I want to bring you the details, the things that you may not have seen from other photographers. I like showing you the parts that you just may never get to see. So if you enjoy this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on X. If you don't, because I do post general public photos, you'll see it has a big watermark. And again, my subscribers, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button on my X channel and then do the membership thing, and you can get to see the images I just edited as part of my subscribers to the great people who subscribe to my channel. So that's the end of this one, and I will see you guys on the next one, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, and I will see you on the next live stream. Thank you to everyone that supports my adventures with your subscription to my photography content on X at Hotwire405.